A car just drove by 6:21 a.m. and I heard a horror. This is Lisa Guthrie, 505 Northeast 70th Street, Seattle, Washington, 98115. I'm in a gang-ridden building, and this is a security tape. And note, there's nothing in the room of any value. There's a reason for it. The bums in this building, it's called Green Lake Plaza Apartments, like to crawl up from the green areas of the building. There's even a door. And then we have as many as possibly 18 different gangs in the building. They are cannibal zombies. They did target whites, Semites, warm-skinned Europeans. I was actually awakened earlier by alarms and yelling in the crawl space behind the closet. And this is a corner unit. So I keep nothing in here. And by the way, I've donated a lot of my stuff to St. Vincent before I went homeless a few years ago. I had complained about mold. Now let's get this one fast up. So of course, even though network not working, it was still recording. Is here, and I'm going to name some other bums that are here. An ugly, retarded Hispanic guy is in the closet behind it. He lives here. He's an ugly wastoid, like the other freaks in Washington. Remember, I'm not even white, and I'll say whatever I like. And the bum is playing settled, sold, yada yada. He's an ugly, retarded man. He's about 5'8". He doesn't realize he's an ugly retard. And these bums in Washington have dragged off many people. And when they dragged them off, they dragged off white Semites, warm-skinned Europeans, white-looking. I'm white-looking, actually ain't black. He just, that there was a click at the closet just now. He is an ugly male that nobody would go anywhere with. This is typical of the retards. If you look at them closely, nobody would want them, nobody would like them. And it's what's left after these bums committed genocide, because they also targeted people that were good-looking, smart, nice, normal. And he's none of the above, and he never has been. None of them have. They all have problems, including my grotesque family. Someone is shaking a chain behind the closet. So I'm going to turn on another broadcast. If YouTube isn't reliable, I'll turn on Periscope. Better than nothing, and yes, local people will be watching the bums. Now this is slipped down to less battery, and it's not charging. I have to actually make sure the thing charges. So, yes, it's an ugly boogeyman, and he's very dangerous. He doesn't believe he's an ugly boogeyman. That's part of the danger of the ugly, retarded boogeyman in Washington. When it comes to get you, they think they're good-looking. They were called good-looking. Why? There's nobody left. Oh, here's Here's one of the vehicles whenever there's trouble. It's a blue teal vehicle. This one's a station wagon. And it's got foil on one of the windows. I gotta do something and make sure I have my... I'm trying to set up the phone with a battery that actually works. There. So it went down to 94%. I want you to know that there are as many as 18 gangs in this building, including Crips. So I'm sort of telling the story backward way around, and I have 2 YouTube broadcasts. One's of this closet area. This has a bathroom behind it. There's nobody here legally, and it's just a closet. And turn this off, but it's just a closet. And so if you hear anybody, they're actually hiding in their crawl space. They're retarded lunatics. That's what's left, including my own grotesque family. Apparently, they were black Nazis, and I didn't even know it. And that's a big part of the story. Black Nazis and the people that went in with them, dragging off white Semites and roasted Europeans. And remember, not one of these people has a right to drag off anybody, and usually, let me tell you the kind of threats I endure in a day. So it could be rape, murder, torture. I'm just putting my charter together in case you're wondering what I'm doing. Rape, murder, torture, mutilation, slavery. And usually these retards cock guns, including the retarded Hispanic male that lives in this building. And they'll even think they could mutilate your face and you'll just let them. There is nobody left in Washington. They are all crazy. They'll even kick in your door. They like to pretend that you owe them rent. And I woke up 14 years ago, and everybody was punishing, and I didn't realize who they were punishing, but they actually all targeted white Semites and Mexican Europeans. Stupidly, people even targeted their own kind, if you can imagine. And remember, this could end badly. There's a violence warning, because I'm not going to go with these shit asses. It's illegal. I wouldn't be caught. Well, I don't like that expression now, because they're zombies. I wouldn't be seen with any of these people. One of the bums just walked out. Let's see if I can see him. Oh no, because if I move this too much, oh, too late. So he's walking away. Male with blue coat and some khaki. I think it's a tallish black male. I think that one's a blood. So I've posted, there are a lot of Crips that come to this building, plus the other gangs. So I try to tell what gangs they're in, even if I say it verbally. It's kind of like if you mess with me, well, I'm going to name you. And remember, they're not here legally. And they'll hide. There's a closet, crawl space evidently, then around where it's just the freeway, so there's no windows, they hide there. And there's a prostitute yapping. They thought they'd block off the windows and take over the apartment. Even though it's a ratty apartment, it is considered to be worth $1,076 a month. And everybody is involved in this criminal movement. Jeff Whitlinger was creeping around earlier. He's one of the managers. Another boogeyman is a creep from University Bank. It's actually Wells Fargo Bank in the University District on University Way. He is the bank manager. Now, interestingly enough, he's interested, well, he's involved in scarring people so they're unrecognizable. And he helps people take people's identity. He'll even casually conduct crime right at the bank. Nicholas, he's grown a beard, kind of an old-fashioned set of beard and sideburns. Like sort of Victorian looking even. Not a good looking man, about 5'8". But well, you know he wouldn't be good looking. He's killed a lot of people. That's a symptom of the genocide. They're not good looking. They're not smart usually. They kill the competition. They're not talented. And my own gross crime family, well, they're real family, but they're estranged. No, you can consider them black Nazis. I'm as much as an eighth black, and some of them are a quarter, or like their husbands might be half. And some of them might even be married to somebody who's full black. Including I have an estranged stepsister, Kathleen Toomey. She's here probably still with Taya. And I would like to note, Taya looks like an ogress. That's her daughter. The reason why is because of cannibalism, I believe. And also, they've had other people's food stamps. That's Washington. They're hogs for pleasure, treasure, and leisure. So it's not unusual for these bums even to walk around with Social Security from the dead, and enslaved and tortured, and also, or all of the above, and also to walk around with their food stamp money. They're absolute hogs, as I say, for pleasure, treasure, and leisure. I think one of the other males is Greg Kinzel. He might still be here. Michael Benjamin Davis Wood is here with his mother, Carol Davis Wood. I'm not going anywhere with any of these things. They are cannibal zombies. One of them just made a threat to destroy my features. This is not something I set up. These are people that are in the crawl space. And earlier they set off that alarm. Sorry, I'm itching my nose. And only way I'd leave the building with these things is if a SWAT team came in and they had to. Like, if these things get shot, arrested, whatever happens. If they get, arrested, and of course they'd evacuate the building, then I go too. Otherwise, no. Randy Whittier is here. And a Randy Brazil. There are some whores that work at a non-profit, Elizabeth Gregory Home. Andreaser. Karen Andreaser. You can look her up, and she looks like Blanche Devereaux. She's a character off of a sitcom. Golden, you know what's. Never popular. And then Christine Carr, the crack whore, is here. But they're on multitudes. Oh, and Mrs. That's Carol Davis Wood. She's a widow, but she's screaming about, what? We've got the car and she's going overnight. So these things, and I want you to see some horse. Well, I don't want to wreck this. Nobody normal comes out of this place. Not anybody normal ever, and they've been drinking blood and eating people. And also, they're probably wearing victims' clothes and carrying their possessions. One of the moose, I don't know if that was an UD. I doubt it. You tend to get also the same kind of facial types over and over. And I'll tell you, a lot of these people also, they like conducting kidnapping, rape, torture, and all of the above before it gets light out. So they also like to do it before a holiday. Oh, I don't think that was an UD just because it was fat and ugly. I don't think it was. I will state that my relatives are pretty hideous, but I don't think that was an UD. Now, also these bums, one of them is a horse, she's clicking a gun. Am I going to go with her? No. And she's saying, I'm going to commit you to this thing. These whores and bums have no authority. They will play, what? Committing, arresting. You've got whores, you've got a banker, you've got a bunch of retarded people. You've got one dirty cop or more, Officer Rob Howard. The rest are bums. Some of them work, some don't. A lot of them have even up to 800 to 1,000 or thousands of identities. Larry Blackburn, he's here. He might have now, I've heard, 2,000 identities. Don Blackburn might have 800. These bums will try to force their way in and take control. Nope. I will be suing housing and taking pictures and video of the bitch or bastard that thinks it's going to run me. They're also making threats about boarding up my window. It's like the classic child molester thing, or like if you do this, we're going to hurt your buddy, we're going to hurt you, we're going to hurt so-and-so. It's also like that, like if you've ever played ball with somebody and there's a tagging game and they make up the rules, and they're like, nope, you can't do that, I have only universe. So these retards, and it's not that they're smart, they have a lot of training. So they don't want you by the window. Why? Because you could call for help. I won't live here without a window, and I'm not going to live here with anybody else. Remember, Jeff Whitlinger is involved, so is James Suarez, and there's an ugly, fat, black Nazi female involved as well. If I don't have my window, if I don't talk disparagingly about Seattle and Washington, if I don't talk disparagingly about people in Washington, including family that are all estranged, there's something wrong. If I don't go out every day, there's something wrong. If I don't go to my storage, there's something wrong. Now, why wouldn't I live here without a window? Well, it stinks because they're cannibal zombies. They stink of blood. They stink of fecal and urine. They play with fecal and urine. They stink of rotted flesh. They play with rotted flesh. They play with bones. They torture. It stinks. It also stinks in here of, well, they'll try to cover it up with cheap perfumes, but they'll also manufacture drugs in the building probably, and other substances that are toxic to inhale, and they smoke them, and so you're going to smell a lot of stench. So there's no way I'd live here without a window. And there's no way I'd live here with anybody in Washington. You can't trust one. They've been zombies for 14 years. There's nobody. So one of them is making threats again, and I think one of them is now that's climbed up. It's an ugly, creepy ex-security guard, Pike Place Market, black Nazi, boasted of killing 40 whites a day. ugly, creepy male, but because he was the lover of Officer Bobby of the West Precinct, he thinks he can get away with everything. He boasted of killing 40 whites a day and torturing them. Ugly creep. He likes to pretend he's a cop. He and his little son wear an ill-fitting costume. He's got a little irritating voice. He's about 5'8", short hair, ugly little man. Ugly, ugly, ugly. Ugly retard that nobody would want. He's involved in 10 loose gangs, 8 tight gangs. He brags that he's involved with celebrities, including Kim Kardashian and Kanye West, including in snuff and torture movies and child molestation movies. That's according to his own mouth. He, like the others, are also involved with Crips and the other gangs. He's not a cop, and he has absolutely no jurisdiction. He has no rights. He's standing in a closet, behind one actually. He's a boogeyman, like the other morons. He's a boogeyman. I'm not going anywhere with any boogeyman. Call the SWAT team, bitch, then I'll go. Not with you, but I'll evacuate with the rest of you. So when you call the SWAT team and you leave the building because there's a SWAT team and you're arrested or shot or something, that's when I'll go. Otherwise, fuck off. He's just made a moronic statement about consent to let you use a dictionary. The retardos in Washington actually think they own everybody and own everything. So it would be like if you're skipping down the street and a moron thinks they own that action and that you have to pay to do it. And a lot of these morons that got in with the black Nazis and the other crap, how did they pay? They paid by torturing, raping, murdering, eating people. These are foul retardos. There's nothing left of the retardos. They are retardos. They're ugly. There's a whore yelling up. I wouldn't live with any of them. There are no relatives. Everybody is estranged anyway in my family from me. There was a house sale. It was my mother's house. And these retardos, my sister, Dawn Blackmer, and Larry Blackmer, and my niece, Melissa Udd, Michael Tedhope, my half-brother, Dawn's just a half-sister. They didn't want me to have any part of the house proceeds or anything expensive from the house. So I've been estranged from my family for 18 years. There is nobody. And I'll tell you, just like a third world country where they think they can drag you away playing family or even pretending to be family, that's very popular in Washington, along with the other falsified relationships. Boyfriend, fiance, lover, husband. They're all boogeymen. Nobody would want these things for a husband or a fiance. They're too ugly. They're crazy. They're grotesque. They're hideous. They're morons. Nobody wants these things. They're too ugly. There's not one person who would go with these people. Especially if you think of a stinky, retarded, cannibal, zombie, lunatic that's so evil. They're devil worshippers. Remember, I'm not even awake. I'm as much as an ape. Like, oh, they're playing mother-in-law. Nope. So these dirt bags will also try to threaten you for slaves. So they'll even try to have people as slaves in this building. Jeff Whitlinger, the manager, was sneaking around. Yesterday, James Suarez was sneaking around, if he wasn't sneaking around last night too. Or this morning. They're usually high on crack, sneaking around. And they are involved in trying to get slaves for the ugly zombies of the building too. Or people they know. They'll often trade, like they think they can trade people, like they're paying their, quote, bills or obligations with you. Now I know you can't hear, this is on I-5. They had a big plot. Let's see, some of their plots involve drugging you, playing medicine like it's legal, including injecting you with crocodile or heroin. Jeff Whitlinger, the manager, is involved with all of these plots. So is Karen Andreessen. So is Christine Carr of Elizabeth Gregory Home. Those two. But Nicholas is from Wells Fargo Bank, 45th and University Way. He's the bank manager. But remember, he likes to make it so nobody would recognize you, so somebody could steal your identity. Yes, they use old school methods here. Whole state's infested. You're not going to find a CSI that stinks up for me. He would say it was my sister if he got enough money or enough perks. He would say it was my cousin. Nobody's going with any of them. There's no reason to. Here's a traffic cam, by the way. Still dark. Nobody's going with this shit. There's nobody to go with. They're all gruesome cannibal zombies. Let's don't do this off. Well, we'll get traffic. I'll leave that one on. So somebody's walking their dog, but usually when there's it follows a pattern. People, boogeymen in the closet, behind the closet, boogie women, clicking guns, also threats in 207 usually, or somebody walking by the door. Then there's also usually some sort of vehicle. And remember, these males don't know how ugly they are, too. So they want to falsify husband and other relationships, but they're very ugly. Including the ugly freaks that live here. I just call them potty monsters. So you picture people walking around with other people's food stamps, their identities. Some of the bums are tied, a lot of them are tied to social services, including food banks. They're tied to food banks. I'm going to start getting my stuff ready, and I'm going to have breakfast. Maybe some coffee. I should go into the restroom actually, and I'll have to, it's actually sad, but I actually have to set the alarm up higher to go into the restroom. And, a bum is chanting they want your restroom. Well, there's another reason. Now, I've mentioned they want a water source. Why? They're ritualistic, and they'll play sink and rinsing. And so they're gory. They also want a stove. There's more on like here on that side too. So they're trying to find, well, actually take over this apartment for the restroom. So that's one of the reasons they're trying to take over this apartment. Some of the gang members actually can't control their urine or their bowels. So these big badass gang members, a lot of them are incontinent. They can't control their, well, they urinate or defecate in their pants, basically. But they also want a stove, they want a sink, they want a refrigerator. Also, they want to look normal and bathed in the morning with showers. So yeah, some of the Crips are even trying to take over this apartment for the bathroom. That'll make them popular in the neighborhood. And a horse carrying a chain. And there's a bum yapping on this side too. Now remember, some of them are also incontinent, and big badass man, they want a bathroom. Eric Kinzel's incontinent, Larry Blackmer. Oh, and I forgot to say Tom Kovacs was here last night with Kim her former name was Kovacs, and his mother. They were here the other night as well. So they want to use the bathroom, and that's through there. And there's no way I'm going to pay rent and have people using my bathroom. So if you'd like a SWAT team for the bathroom, and then you'll have a bathroom. 3 hots and a cot, as they say. So you're going to get yourself a hotel, but it's a different one. It's called Orange Jumpsuit Hotel, including if you live in the building. And this building is honeycombed with trap doors, including a couple, in and out, Don and Larry Blackmer, Blackmer Construction, Ted Hope Construction, my relatives, illegal entrances, exits, and places to stay. Crawl spaces, lifting windows out as another way, terrorizing people in vacant rooms, or by vacant rooms, next door neighbors. Enter and exit, cutting a hole. Trap door, there's trap door here I hear, and I've heard it. Then there's 1 to 209, and I've heard people actually jump down from beams to the hall, and it's where some tile is askew. I'll be right back. So remember, 18 plus gangs in this building, plus Crips. And you need to have these buildings shut down because they're only using them for crime, and they don't need structures, they'll just chop them down. And so you just need to treat them like hogs anyway, and they are like hogs. So you just get like a cement area that drains. Now what am I doing? I'm opening the window so that when I use the restroom, I can still call for help outside. The whole premise about the window is you don't give them privacy. Yeah, the bugs are trying to get a hold of this bathroom. whores and bums hiding around the side, and they are playing legal and living. Now, it's common procedure, including among my family members. They enter someone's house or apartment or wherever they're sleeping. They stick them with a needle. They beat them up. They might cripple them. They might deafen. They might blind them. They might scar them. They'll play operation. They might impregnate them. They might have someone rape them purposely that has AIDS or hepatitis. There are 2 such males. I have toilet paper or paper here, so paper. But anyway, not so it looks like, but it doesn't. So they had 2 males in Aurora, DSC, purposely raping a slobbering black Nazi moron that has AIDS, and an ugly, fat, tubby thing with a big bulbous head, looks white, and he's got a skull face, ironically, big fat ass. He had hepatitis. He likes also, both of them like playing with their bodily fluids and injecting people with bodily fluids, etc. They'll do that to you when they knock you out too. Another one, because they like to throw glass, they'll actually rub glass in your face. My niece and the rest of my gross, deranged, estranged family, they have this thing about faces and destroying, especially mine. Destroy, cut, mutilate, all of these people do. They're all sick freaks. So these bastards also want to shower up their crypts. Why am I emphasizing crypts? Well, some in the neighborhood don't like them, I hear. And it's not my problem who likes who, is it? They're here for a home invasion, rape, torture, murder. I really don't give a damn about any of them. Yeah, so they're trying to take over my apartment for the bathroom. They've threatened other houses and apartments as well. And they want their crypts to have a shower, I guess. So watch my apartment for any signs of activity. If it's not me, it's illegal. I'm going to make you fuckers really popular. How about that? One of the retardos that's standing there is a retardo named Roger. He has a connection to Burt Gilman Place Apartments. Once again, these morons are not untraceable. He's a bum, a retardo. I hear he ate his girlfriend. That's not uncommon here. He also, I remember that the zombie that was telling me about him, she didn't like him. He liked living off of welfare women. She was a welfare woman with a kid. The welfare kid, his relatives were here last night. Justice brings. And it's spelled in an ignorant way with U.S. ending. Just us. They look white. Justice brings. The father is, he was an architect, but they've made a lot of money by stealing. Now, I tried to tell the authorities about Samantha a few years ago. She'd actually worked at a synagogue and robbed the synagogue. Dirty cop came visiting me. He didn't want me telling. He didn't want me calling. And Samantha probably took over $30,000 from the synagogue. A lot of those people have been replaced as well. A lot of the Russians, by the way, that are here, or Ukrainians, the secret is they might have the Russian accent, but they're not Russian. So it'd be like someone who's part Indian or from the Stans,
And they're racist, and they targeted white Semites, warm-skinned Europeans, white-looking people. They got rid of a lot of the Russians here, too. And by the way, first thing these bums do is play the name of the people they're targeting in more ways than one, including to assume their identity. One of the prostitutes that's a boogie woman, she's hiding in the closet. Her name is Sunday. And she's a Crip too, it turns out. And she thinks that she is involved with Tupac Shakur, the dead rapper. He must be pretty dry by now. Because that's her husband, supposedly, or fiancé. But remember the even sicker part of this whole story. What could be more sick? The whole state will pretend that she's normal, including the cops. They love people like that because they get a hold of this idea they're cops too, and they won't stop. And there's a bum yapping. I can hear him from down below. He's talking about using needles tonight. So another needle threat, using needles tonight. And it's possibly Officer Seduth. He is a black Nazi cop from the West Precinct. He's a murderer, rapist, torturer. How else could people have disappeared like they did? He's a child molester. He's a slaver. He's in on illegal organs trade. He's a cannibal, like all of them. He's ugly. He looks like a third world country gorilla. Big rough-hewn features, scarred, ugly. That's the whole thing about this decimation. They killed people better looking, smarter, more talented, nicer. But there's also another pattern. They targeted people for characteristics. Green eyes, blue eyed, gray eyes, but there are other characteristics that I haven't mentioned, like, oh, they wore glasses. They have a big forehead. Also, they targeted people that they thought they could pass themselves off as and assume their identity. So they've had weird, crazy systems. And I woke up 14 years ago and they thought they could punish everybody for anything. Even these freaks, they have this sort of magical belief system. Let's say you're walking along, you go shopping and you buy a banana. They think it's their banana and it's going to starve them. It's not one, it's all of them. And it's very cult-like, filled with propaganda, and they literally will have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of morons following you around. One of the things that Officer Seduth and Officer Howard also like to do, along with the other bumps, they'll have people, quote, guard you. It's the false relationship where they're pretending it's your best friend, and maybe you're having to give, like, your food stamps or your grocery money to them. Some of these freaks from the building and their friends have followed me. They've actually tried to put their hands on me and have put their hands on me. Including down the street, there's an ugly white-looking creep. He usually has his truck parked out there. It's a little black truck. And he actually will follow you and try to put his hands on you, kidnap you from another location. He also has tried to kidnap me and detain me in captivity at the garbage. Jeff Whitlinger, the manager, James Suarez, all involved. And that ugly thing, I don't even know her name. She's a black female. She's hideously ugly. They all are. Last time Jeff Whitlinger came in here because there was an inspection. Well, that didn't pass because, well, I washed my floor, but I had 3 mops that broke. Oh, The ugly thing, that blonde thing, he actually dyes his hair from gray. He's actually hiding in the closet too. He is a boogeyman. And strangely enough, even one of the other indigents that comes here, he's a cannibal zombie, he thought it was funny. The guy goes down to Green Lake to take a shower. I know why. Well, it turns out if you use the women's bathroom at Green Lake, they have this weird setup, and I complained about it, where people could actually walk by, and males and females, and males could also walk up the stairs, which that's harder to control, but this hall, this corridor evidently, and there's some showers. So that's probably why that ugly thing uses the showers so he can get to the females and also the little boys. That's a big trade in Washington, and they'll actually try to force you. And one of the bums is muttering, "Storm room, storm this." These bums think they're military. These are terrorists. They're also involved in plagues and infecting people, whether by, like I said, raping or poking people with a needle, even licking something if they have AIDS, or using their AIDS needles, HIV-laden needles, hepatitis needles. So you've got fate in the hands of morons, absolute morons. And, even if you think of my family looking white, they're black Nazis. They joined in with the black Nazis, and they are part black. These are black Nazis. And what they want to do is get rid of white Semites and warm-skinned Europeans and white-looking, and then act as though they invented civilization, and they want to run things. One of the plots they have is a worldwide genocide where they're actually breeding whites and white-looking to be eaten. So you're going to find black Nazis putting out fake Illuminati crap like they have the big picture. They don't. And one of the morons that's crawled up, it's a boogeyman, Officer Saduth. And his brother sometimes comes along, that's common. And it's not just about blacks, but you'll have morons pretending their moron family members have authority. It's also, so they're moron friends and affiliates, and also people that are retired, flunked out, or never were professionals. You'll find mentally ill morons that were released from the mental hospital in scrubs playing nurse. Women or males that are dental hygienists with a pair of scrubs. Oh yeah, they're there on the bus to pick you up and drag you off. I've seen a guy with a psychiatric badge, like it said psychiatry. He reeked of urine and he was muttering to himself, and he started in on me in that familiar way, but I started taping him. I've seen people dressed in food service uniforms from the 70s, it looked like. And I think they got them from Fair Start, some of the uniforms. And every agency is a sham agency in Washington. You can't trust any records, including genealogical records at Sandpoint Way. You cannot trust any of the medical records, and any mental health records on whites, white-looking, Semites, and warm-skinned Europeans. You cannot trust if you have people that are involved with the people who did the genocide against white Semites and warm-skinned Europeans and white-looking. One hint of it, they can't be trusted. That would pull out a lot of people already. And there's been this unofficial war. It's a coward's war, and they are cowards. They feel macho if they beat up a bunny. And remember, I've got asthma, allergies, chemical sensitivities, chronic fatigue, bleeding ulcers, nosebleeds. I forget half the stuff all the time. Bad back, arm that a dirty cop tried to break because I wouldn't be a prostitute and cook meth. That's Officer Bobby. He's remember gay lovers with gay lover with of the ugly little security guard. Officer Seduth is here, and he uses his brother as a fake cop. It's a moron. Officer Seduth is a moron too. A lot of these cops are on crack and meth. They're all retarded. The bankers are retarded. That's why you're having trouble with companies such as Amazon and maybe Starbucks. You can't support, a state won't support itself just by stealing people's money. Eventually something's going to cave in. Sham jobs, they're all wigged out on drugs, and they stay up all night torturing, butchering, and doing Satanism. How long do you think a state would last? It won't. Also, I want to call attention to the meat situation. I don't eat meat. Not anymore. Don't eat chicken. Why? I don't want to eat a tortured animal by mistake or a human. The meat will not tally up with the meat produced or that is sold and produced and actually bred or what comes in. Excuse me. It's hard to talk and not suck in air and go. It won't match. And we're allegedly a pink state. What's a pink state? Well, it was a map I looked at of meat consumption. I tried to post it, but it's got a copyright. So I might have to find one where I can just post it where it's not copyrighted. And it's a list of meat consumption. And the really red states, that has more meat. So that's showing something's not right here because I smell meat 24/7 sometimes. Meat. It's not even meat. A human and a cat, a dog, and even a tortured bunny, that's not meat. Remember, these are retardos. That's what they wanted. It's got to cave in sometime. And I believe that during World War II, they also aimed at pretty, nice, normal, smart. That's why they targeted the Jews and other people in World War II. And I've seen pictures of the Nazis. You can tell they have anomalies. You can tell some were outright retarded people, just like here. So this is why I live like this. And don't worry about me. I don't want furniture. Who would the furniture be for? The morons that would kick in the door and try to enslave me? They'd love it if I had a nice apartment that looked normal. That way when they come to enslave you, they don't have to do much work. I donated a lot of my stuff. It had been in storage for 7 years. And as I've said in storage, it's not even safe. For the last 2 years, I've had glass thrown at me, and my storage has been entered, and there's glass. And when I had to move from a 5x15 because I wanted to save money, I was paying $226. I absolutely got glass on me because it took me 4 days to move a lot of my stuff. So they were able to get back farther and farther with the glass. And so like pillows stacked, it's like huge pillow piles and textile piles, like a blanket that hadn't been packed. It's like, oh, okay, now it's, falling on your head. And even with the bad camera, I've got grooves of glass, and these are acid burns. And my water smelled like a lab many times. There are several procedures they do with water, including if a dirty cop wants to get rid of somebody, they'll put radiation or have their buddies do it. Yeah, they're that bright. They walk around with radiation. Pretty stupid, huh? A lot of our state's hot. Ironically, I'm going to tell you a little story. It's not just the cops. There's this guy named Bill Beatty, connected with Museum of Mysteries. Remember, they're hiding the break-ins under alleged ghosts and alien and ghosts. So Bill Beatty, years ago at the Seattle Museum of Mysteries, he was walking around with his radiation detector. He was scanning, and he held it up, and he held it near me, and he's like, wait a second, because the thing started ticking. Ironically, guess what he's involved in? And he walks around with I think uranium samples from the 50s, like when you could buy all these samples in the backs of comic books, 50s, 60s. So he's directly involved in poisonings and meth lab production. That's where some of your meth labs come from. Scientists that aren't working or hobby. He was working at the University of Washington. I heard he was fired 10 years ago. I haven't even checked. And he's on the net. He does amateur science videos, but he's like the others. He's a cannibal zombie freak. He is a torturer, a murderer, a rapist. He is a child molester. He tortures animals. He thinks that will bring him magic, and you know that's mentally ill and wrong, don't you? If you don't, you've got a mental problem. That doesn't bring you magic. So he actually, he and Charlotte Lefevre and Philip Blibson and the members of the Seattle Museum of Mysteries, it's called Northwest Legends and Lore. It mostly grew to become sort of a false agency. It probably already was. And it's descended from the Seattle Metaphysical Library. It became the Art Bell Chat Club. Charlotte had to change the name because she always argued with people that were maybe a little more educated, like instead of just a Bigfoot hunter, it's maybe somebody who studied paleontology or archaeology, and they had some expertise. Those people seemed to irk Charlotte. People with educations, people with good looks. There's one of them. I don't even know if I'm allowed to mention their name. She might, she has a copyrighted website, but there's one with the last name of Henry, male, and then there's another one with the last name of Howe. They actually had credits, and so Charlotte couldn't stand them. One of them is, she's been on quite a few of, like, some of those, alien hunter shows, but she has an education. And so does Henry. He had actually an intelligent website about some Egyptology. I don't know much else. I haven't seen his website in years. So this is not charged, and quite a few other things haven't charged all night. So I'm going to put this over here, and another one of the bums that's here is Kathy Cox. And who is Kathy Cox? She's a welfare bum. She's on heroin, and she's on methadone, and the cops treated her like she was FBI, a nurse. She actually worked at a notorious, it was called Furcrest School, and there were probably 3 deaths there that she actually, she probably murdered 3 people. She's here. And by the way, I'm going to say my prayer and start in with some juice or some water, more water. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done as it is in heaven. Please forgive our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. Thy is kingdom, power, and glory. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done as it is in heaven. I'm going to take this off with my take my mind. Please forgive our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. For thine is kingdom, power, and glory forever. Amen. Note, the boogeymen and women They'll even chant profanely and blasphemously if somebody is praying. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done as earth as in heaven. Please forgive our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation. Deliver us from evil, for that is the kingdom, power, and the glory forever. Amen. Note that Melissa Udd has a father-in-law. He is allegedly a pastor. I think Unitarian or Unity Church. His last name is Udd, of course. And he is a devil worshiper, and as some of the threats also, they've been trying to get a slave for him. He must be rather old, rather elderly. And he is a pastor, allegedly. I knew there was something wrong with Udd. He actually seemed angry when I fought off an attacker in the university district about 30 years ago. And he seemed angry, and it was like an attitude of you slut. That's not normal. Might have been yet another hit by my sister, Dawn Blackburn. One of the whores was chanting oral. One of the bums was talking about whipping. You know, none of that's legal. I wouldn't touch any of these bums with anything. I wouldn't even touch a bum in Washington. They're all bums. I wouldn't touch them with plutonium gloves. I think I'm going to have to move cameras. This is not charging over here. Let me check this one. This one seems to be charging. Another one of the potty monsters, as I call them, is the Black Nazi Moron. He's from Aurora, DSC. He likes to spread AIDS and hepatitis in rapes. He's got a pug nose. He's homely. He's retarded, definitely, and he slobbers on his victims from what I hear, including children that he's tortured. At Aurora, DSC, it smelled like blood the whole time. That's not normal to smell blood. Now they're chanting about fingers, some of these bums. These are terrorists. They are sick, and they are beyond reprieve. This is no joke. Now I'm going to have to move cameras. Oh, and there's a bum playing Lisa Moving Outside, blah, blah, blah. Remember, they're chanting illegal threats, terroristic threats. Does an ugly bum have the right to make you move outside? Does the ugly bum have the right to whip you? Does anyone? They don't. Now, let's see. And one of them is chanting neurotically. One thing they think they're magical about is if they use false permissions. They'll use false permissions in magical thinking, and also like if just regular visible. So they think they're doing magical if they chant as you. And remember, all these retardos are traceable. And think of the ridiculous connections, and note, if I wanted to make up all these details about these bums, I couldn't do it. Well, I mean, I could do it, but it would be, it would have taken me quite a few years. You know, 14 years I've heard a lot, but let's put it this way. I'd have quite the IQ, like 10 million. Or, I mean, I could be exaggerating.
It would be, you know, superhuman. Even if you think I'm a schizophrenic, well, people have actually typed and texted to the boogeyman in the closet, behind the closet, rather. Boogeyman. Boogeyman. Remember, they're ugly. There's not one who could say I'd go anywhere with them. Even the dirty cops can't say that. Why? They're too ugly. I wouldn't even go anywhere with the banker. Also, there's this disparity between scarring someone and then pretending that they're popular or liked to drag them off. Remember, it's the ugly, foul thing they've been beating for years, torturing for years, telling they're ugly. So they can't say, oh, it's your admirer. Even my family can't say that. Remember, it's the ugly thing they've been torturing and trying to kill for years, including from birth. I believe I was poisoned by my sister. And remember, I've been estranged from my family for 18 years. They'll come up with any kind of lie, though. Lately, one of the lies has been to think, well, they thought they could actually pretend I was stalking them. That's with all those things wrong with me and the big suitcase. I'm lucky if I can make it to my storage and sit there sometimes, and then go to the store and get water and come back here without having to take a nap. Let alone stalk people when it takes sometimes hours on the bus. Think I have a broomstick? How about what do they think I have a, you know? Well, they do chant about UFOs all the time. So I'm resuming the broadcast, and sadly one of the phones is not charging very well, so I'm down to one phone, and then the other not charging at all. So, changed the cords quite a few times, and boogeymen are still hanging out, including the ugly Hispanic male. He's retarded, he's ugly. He's actually so psychotic, he thought people were following him around and taking pictures of him. And that's as he moved into the camera frame. And remember, he's ugly, but he doesn't know it. That's why he's so dangerous. There's a whore that just made a wallet threat. And these bums will threaten you for anything that has to do with your survival, whether it's even down to your identity card, your ID card. And they even have said to me, you're going to let me have your bank card for 4 hours. One of the fat slobs is now up here. It's the fat maggot from Aurora DSC. He pretends he's a cop. He's diagnosed as retarded, like many of them. My niece was in special ed, Melissa Udd. Even their educations were lied about here. They forced, coerced, and rewarded their kids through school. Don't kid yourself, some teachers probably disappeared. So the ugly Hispanic male that lives in this building, big secret, he's one of the boogeymen in the closet. Boogeyman!
He's about 5'8". Dark eyes, you can't tell his pupil from his iris because he's usually high. Ugly, unattractive. There's a horror playing master. You want to find out what happens with that one? You want to find out what happens. You want to find out what happens with that shit. I will have that boogeyman on a mental health gurney very quickly. And there's another bomb chanting, open your knees. Nope. You're boogeymen and women. Nobody's going to listen to you. You're ugly shit asses and you've been named as terrorists. And you are terrorists and nobody's going to listen. Oh, and they've also threatened me for my glasses. Do you think I'm going to listen? Nope. They need to be committed and arrested, all of them. And my family likes to play kingpins, so look for Don and Larry Blackmer, Melissa Udd. Look for Emily Udd. There's another daughter, Steve Udd. That's the spouse of Melissa Udd. Look for these people. And anybody in this building that lives here is involved. Everybody in the building is involved, and that includes the creepy, grotesque, disabled people. Why? They're trying to get slaves too. Their creepy, grotesque relatives and friends are trying to get slaves for them. There's a horror playing Nimoy. You don't engage with them. You know, maybe you can tell what they mean, but you don't argue with them. They're not worth it. Nobody's going to listen. You're shit-ass morons. Remember, they're sick freaks. They are displaying that they are zombies and that the army needs to come in and round these fuckers up. That's what they're displaying. So they're asking you for help to get to mental hospitals, prisons, and jails. Including Seattle Housing Authority. And the dreadful secret, even before everybody was a zombie 14 years ago, these bums were hiring mentally ill gang members or converting them to gangs, cleaning them up, and they literally would kill to hide the crimes in Washington. That's Seattle Housing Authority. And they'd have a dirty cop that would literally kill. One of them just cocked a gun. Melissa Udd, possibly. And Melissa Udd and Kathleen Toomey and her sister Susan Wilson, Kathy Cox, I heard they specialize in chainsaw massacres. Remember, you're not going to find the victims because they'll try to substitute them. They chant substitute all the time. They also believe they're going to do that in the spirit world and through magic. So they're going to be chanting for menace and mayhem to be aided, by the devil, basically. That's their belief system. So they're showing you how mentally ill they are. Melissa Udd and Kathy Toomey are still here. Officer Saduk is here. And his brother pretending to be a cop. Kathy in another state. And don't let people from Washington cross the borders anymore. They're not who they say they are. And watch them if they're already in another country or state. Could even be someone from, like Eddie. He looks respectable. He's not. And he is from Old Well Motel in Dry Town, California. There's a whore-chanting girlfriend. There is no girlfriend. There is no boyfriend. Eddie is a gross freak. I saw a picture of him on the net of what he looks now. He was gross 30 years ago. I haven't seen the ugly thing in 30 years. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done as it is in heaven. Please forgive our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation. Deliver us from evil. That is kingdom, power, and glory forever. Amen. I'm eating peanut butter, in case you're wondering what I'm doing. I think a big scoop of peanut butter. It's actually like a soup scoop. That's a pretty good serving for now. As long as I don't drip it on the floor with the mug. And now you know why I don't furnish the apartment or even worry about mud on the floor. These are boogeymen with the kids and the dog. And just because he's walking one dog doesn't mean it's not a duplicate dog. That's how they smuggle animals here. It looks like the same dog over and over, and it's not. So remember, those things in the closet were or behind it, they were supplied guns by dirty police. They're also gun running, and they're involved in toxic substances. Officer Shadoot is yapping. Am I going to listen to a big fat fucking pig like him? Nope, he's a fucking retard. Fuck off. He's here illegally, and he wants to be arrested and committed. He needs your help gluing macaroni on cards. He wants to sit where he can have his diapers changed, like the other shit asses, and hang out with boogeymen. Eventually, maybe he'll be able to play shuffleboard in his pajamas, with the crackle of diapers accompanying him wherever he goes. So, I ate some peanut butter, because I have diabetes. Oh, maybe I'll have, I'm drinking juice. That sounds good. Coffee sounds good. Yeah, coffee. Coffee sounds good. If I have to sit on a zombie one day, and you see me sitting on a zombie so I can eat breakfast or eat lunch, don't be surprised. Don't try this at home, but it might be necessary at some point. I already told the cops I might do that. I told them a long time ago that if I have to sit on a gang member, I didn't call it a zombie, to eat a cookie and have some milk, I might. So, yeah, these bums, including the dirty cops, they want your help getting to mental hospitals, prisons, and jails.
competition. So even the officers, well, not only do they have false identities, they've also killed off smarter, better looking younger men. So, you know, you just have these ugly old potty monsters hanging around as a cop. There was one that was so senile or on drugs, he thought he'd shoot me because I had a cell phone in my hand and I was walking by Elizabeth Gregory home. There's a moron chanting. Roger is chanting, and he just made a disparaging remark about Russians. He's calling them a dishidah. They will also talk badly about Arabs and call them assalamu alaikas. They've called them worse as well. They've called Jews terrible things as well. And they will also use bad expressions that refer to Jews. And remember, people went after their own kind in Washington as well. So if you can picture an idiot going after its own kind so they can get money, property, credit, well, that's what you've got in Washington. Evil idiots. Morons. Moron. And the things are chanting moronically and incessantly. So if I stayed here, I'd have to hear shit asses hiding behind a closet and chanting. I'd have to smell blood and smell drugs, smell also fecal and urine. Actually, my retardo cousin, he was bragging that he defecated in the wall. Let me see, I don't know if I'll use this bottle. And I don't keep even any kind of bottles or any kind of anything here for kitchen stuff. Why? It's filthy here. You wouldn't want to. So I don't keep cups. I don't keep glasses. I've got to finish my juice before I use this bottle. I just use recyclable bottles. Basically, I use BPAs. It's not very funny, but that's what I do. I use BPAs as my cups regularly. And I try to recycle it. There are some places I go, sometimes they don't recycle. Stupidity. But it's Washington after all. There's nobody left. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done as earth as in heaven. Please forgive our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation. Deliver us from evil, for that is the kingdom, power, and the glory forever. Amen. Rinsing my BPAs out. Or like activating them. There's a bum, one of them is still chanting, he's chanting, at least it comes up missing. Oops, and I wasn't near the phone that was curled down, but we don't talk about that. Why? We will talk and focus on visible morons in Washington. Visible idiots, including in your closet, that people from the Museum of Mysteries and the other moronic agencies would like to portray as ghosts and aliens. Sure. Yes, it was curled to the ground. Don't worry, I'm just cursing. Who? Well, I tend to curse these zombies, and I tend to curse demons, devils, fallen angels. Devil is a fallen angel. And spirits who like them and are like them. It's rather dangerous, but you know, when you've arrived at sort of ground level 0, and there was a zombie apocalypse, well, and one's not a zombie, one might then think, well, it could be risk. It could be worth a risk, cursing the devil. And after all, I am a scorpion. God made me. Not the devil. So I think it's time for coffee. Oh, I should move my heater. And I'm going to do what I usually do, get ready for the day. And remember, they're playing open fire. And remember, all these bombs need to be busted. I did that just now because there's I had this brilliant idea of getting power strips, but my funny little mind saw the 2-for-1 and it didn't think about the 1.5 feet having too much tension on it. Ha ha ha! It only saw the 2-for-1 to you. Bad planning. Bad. If I wanted to, I could actually get, you know, another cord or something. So just pull this out of the way. There's a bum chanting about meals, and these retards have a belief system. Remember, one of the cannibal zombies is chanting about a meal. And remember, they're always eating. And now, I'm going to tell you that nobody would have starved in Washington. I would say nobody starved in Washington, nobody starves. It's actually people who were white Semites and warm-skinned Europeans and white-looking that starved in Washington. And, but as for the potty monsters that are in the gang, they've got food banks that they're not thrown out of. Even though, you know, they might have 80 identities, they are still tied to social services, a lot of them. Remember that. And so you've got potty monsters that ignore the beans in the food bank and the tuna and the peanut butter. Surely you can't be allergic to all of those. And as for meat in the food bank, you certainly wouldn't trust any meat anywhere in Washington. There's Tri-County Cabulance. I do note the vehicles. It's a gray minivan. Why? Because once again, these freaks will use just about anything to effect a kidnapping. And as I stated that, I could hear one of the bums yapping below. So a traffic cam, that's why I usually try to have 3 phones up. There's not enough electricity usually. Lately especially. And don't think the activity will die down just because the managers come on duty. Actually, what will happen, someone might threaten you in the hall, kick your door, try to kick it in or shoulder in, and then the dirty managers will lie for them. along with the dirty police. And dirty 911 lady on crack, well, if you call her a lady, that's the only lady here though, but they'll try to say that you're out in the hallway when you're actually in your apartment. Why? Because she wants to make the person who's on the genocide list sound like they're bad, and then it discredits that person, puts them on a list of like no help or on no, it's a game. Then you realize after a few years of being targeted like that, it's like, what kind of crazy monster would believe that crap? Just like the other, like the propaganda. Like the child molester who goes around telling everybody that so-and-so is a child molester. The shoplifter who goes around telling everybody that you're a shoplifter. They do that all the time. Then they'll form unofficial posses that would actually kidnap you. And they're not legal posses. They'll form flash mobs, like somebody will say at the park, "She's got my backpack. She's got my glasses." It's like you've been wearing the glasses for 8 years, 12 years. That's very common in Washington. Flash mob, lying. Eventually, you start to realize, gee, there's nobody left in Washington if they would even form a flash mob like that, because that's utterly illegal. They're retarded people that are on drugs and they're evil, basically. You realize how retarded these bastards are. But not just retarded, evil. So picture evil, retarded people, and that's all you have. That's all you have here. Oops, I just spilled milk. I like to do things in my kitchen because a lot of bad smells will come out of probably 207, including blood and near the closet. So I tend to even pour my milk. It looked pretty bad on the floor because I would spill coffee, and then, you know, I don't come out here. And so it looked like, it looked really gross. It was coffee. Some of it's mud, but I'm not here. And there's no reason I'd want to even, you know, act like I like this place. Oh, a bum's threatening me for laundry. Remember, their laundry is gory. They want to, you'd be cleaning up a crime scene. Over and over. Crime scene, torture, rape, murder. That's the laundry that they want you to do. Crime scene. That is that you're cleaning up crime scenes for them. And yesterday there was a fat ass doing laundry. I videotaped her before. Her laundry smelled like blood. And that was as I left. Basically, it's a video diary just in case, you know, somebody tries something. And I noticed there was a woman down there doing laundry and it smelled of blood. And they've actually threatened to lock me in the laundry room. It was like 2 in the morning, Maria Lopez from the LaSalle Hotel. So it's telling you too, they have keys to the buildings. So the hoods are telling you they've taken over the buildings and they have keys. There's a bum shaking a chain. Am I going to listen? No. Better make sure you hide after you capture me. There's a silver station wagon coming in. Woman in a headdress. There's nobody in Washington left. Remember, people are even involved in decimating their own kind so they can get their house, their apartment, their car, their money, their bank accounts, their credit cards, even their business. That's another reason. They want an apartment, they want a storage, so they can get
and so they can have a business and you'd be blamed, including a business where they send out illegal articles such as meth or other drugs or toxic substances, plagues. There was a boogeyman, Crip, who goes to Wallingford Food Bank. He thinks he's in disguise now. He shaved off his beard. He's a black Nazi. He's old, ugly. He had a ratty silver beard. And he was saying, "You're going to deliver meth on Monday." That was probably last night or this morning. I was awakened frequently during the night by boogeymen and women. I have nowhere. And that is near to where the refrigerator would have been. She's cocking a gun. Remember, you need to blame 207 still. Oh, I loaded up a lot of coffee in this. It's very strong. So it might be Melissa Udd's ugly daughter. I think the younger cow. Cow Campbell. Remember, they all thought they were untraceable, hiding, having trap doors, lifting out windows, having keys to everyone. It's a bad smell right here. Turn on the fan. It smells like fecal. No kitchen should smell like fecal. Another bum's chanting about brandy. This is me. I'm the only one left that's not a cannibal zombie Satanist. Hello? She thought was right, so she's out there. She started to signal. Or it's just one big evil kid. Evil moron. That's all. And then she started talking to her invisible friends. Talking to her invisible friend. Go. Go. Usually they sit there talking to their invisible friends. That was very rude behavior toward her invisible friends. Remember, everybody has invisible friends here, even the cops. Especially after they've smoked a lot of crack and meth. And had a few drinks. Probably a few bottles. More like bottles for one. Fecal smell from the zombies air out. It's in the kitchen. There's yet another zombie boogeyman making a decree about driving. Not to listen to it. Not to listen to bumps. You're a retardo. No one likes you. Nobody wants you. You're ugly. You're foul and you're repulsive. You're hideous. You're dumb. You're a moron. You're ugly. All gang members need to be told this. You're ugly, you smell bad, you're retarded, and nobody likes you. You need to be committed and arrested. Your DNA sucks. Goodbye. Make sure you tell that to my family, and make sure, just like the rest of Washington, you curse everybody 10 million years back to get rid of them all. ugly, retarded, and repulsive. You're ugly, retarded, and things chanting about still people. You're ugly, you're retarded, and you're repulsive. You're ugly, retarded, repulsive. Ugly, retarded, repulsive. Ugly, retarded, repulsive. No one wants you, no one likes you. Oh, Melissa Udd's whore of a daughter is now chanting about her grandpa. You're ugly, you're retarded, and you're repulsive. Don't forget, you're ugly, retarded, and repulsive. No one likes you. Nobody wants you. Nobody really would come near you. No one likes you. No one wants you. Stay away from me. You're hallucinating that anybody ever wanted you. Nobody likes you. Nobody wants you. Nobody likes you. Nobody wants you. Nobody likes you. Nobody likes you. Nobody likes you. Go away. Go away. No. Nobody likes you. You stink. You stink. I can smell you from here. Your DNA smells so bad it stinks, just like the Nazis in World War II. I think you're like zombies, but what? Devil worshippers. Devils. Yeah. Nobody likes you. Nobody likes you. Nobody wants you. Nobody wants you. Go away. Go, go, go. Nobody likes you. Nobody wants you. Nobody likes you. Nobody wants you. What am I doing? Well, I'm still playing with cords and chargers before I leave. It's good to have chargers. Nobody wants you. I have to put this out of the way so nobody uses it. I was going to go barbecue shrimp or something. I certainly don't want it near any faulty electrical. The heater's here, but I always keep this here. I don't even like the candles near the heater. Why? Well, one heater blew up over here. And it had, well, the prettiest little electrical circles come out of it that you ever did see. And I'm being very facetious. Shorted out and it made a popping sound. It was rather startling. Window, smell like fecal in the kitchen, and I actually start to get sick if I smell blood, and I'll start sneezing, and that's why I leave during the day, one of the reasons. And remember how, also, if you know these things are evil, think of the unproductive, evil nature of everything they do. Negative. So it's like negativity, if you look at it in the form of equations, and remember I'm not an expert, I'm certainly not a math person, but I can think of it logically in the form of equations. Am I having a nosebleed? I wouldn't be surprised. Sometimes I'll sneeze myself into a nosebleed with the smell of blood. So anyway, if you think of evil being a negative equation, start to think of it as that. So you've got devil worshippers. What is it? It's a pocket of negativity. It's throwing things into chaos and disorder. It's going against natural laws, logic. It's going against logic. Let's see. This thing's growing. Okay. So I will excuse myself to use the restroom. First, I must wrench the refrigerator away from the door. And yes, management hates this part because it would potentially stop someone breaking in. So don't worry, the refrigerator wouldn't work anyway, probably. Why? I can't even run a cell phone half the time adequately. Ah! The toilet overflowed. Well, looks like I'll be busy mopping, and I'll need something. I'll just some rubbing alcohol after that or something. Endorsed by dirty cops like officers who do. They'll take your backpack with your meds, either your diabetes meds, your asthma meds, your ID, your clothing. They'll have you at the garbage. Whores chanting something about giving my things to me today. You're not going to leave soap behind. Like dish soap even, or pine salt. You can end up with pine salt and radiation. Pine salt, where they mixed it with ammonia, you can end up with something caustic. There's a bump yapping in 207. Fuck off, bitch. Mentally ill fucking freak. Shut the fuck up. Pretty well equipped, even down to vinegar and
dish soap. I seemed never to run out of dish soap. And if I did, I wouldn't be smart enough to buy shampoo if I couldn't afford dish soap. I never ran out of things like that. You can't leave toilet paper around in a situation. Why? Like this, these bums will boast of putting glass on the toilet paper. And guess who I was? I was that kind of person that would always buy the big pack of toilet paper when I could, the big pack of paper towel. I'm never going to be that person again in Washington, or there's something wrong. There's a whore playing you're going to buy paper for our hotel. That cunt, excuse my language, is thinking they'd have a slave that would supply things. Nope. Household gone in Washington. You can't even have soap. They're not paper towels that are safe for me. They're not toilet paper safe for me. I'm not buying it for junky, cannibal morons. There's a whore that just made a clicking sound in the behind the bedroom saying, "Shut up. Fuck you, whore. Fuck you, bitch." And they're playing leg beat. There's a whore playing visit you. There is no visit by stop. There is no visit by stop. So a whore's playing we're going to come up. Another whore thought she was clever playing you're going to buy paper. The only paper I buy comes in with me, goes out with me until it's gone. One roll. One roll. I do no work here. I only mop the floor for the inspection. There will not be anything for this place. I'm not supporting junkies coming up. So there's a whore who thought they'd have me supply paper towels and toilet paper. Ha 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 ha. Another one was chanting a popular slogan of lay beat. Remember, they like to chant repetitive words, lay this, lay that. Lay beat was a popular one, let me tell you. Another whore is playing something about the storeroom. Remember, I'm not giving that up either. So if I don't go to my storeroom and tell you what's up, there's something wrong with that one. And remember, the storeroom is under my name. It always has been. There is nobody welcome in it, near it. It's my stuff. My retarded sister, though I've been out of contact with her for 18 years, she thought it was brilliant to play It's My Stuff. Even crap she gave me from her garage sale 30 years ago. She is a retarded bitch. There's a whore playing cheats. These bombs will call you a cheat if they can't steal from you. If they can't rape you, they'll call you a cheat. They'll also whine as if you're victimizing them and preventing them from working somehow legitimately. You don't want to believe anybody in Washington. By the way, Greg Kinzel is now around the premises. I hear him yapping, high as a kite, mentally ill. Plus, they're zombies. They were dead 10 to 12 minutes.
It's a black Nazi maggot, and I'm going to be black, and you won't see me with blacks. Why? They're black Nazis. I want nothing to do with them. Including my own family. It's too politically charged after what they did, and you don't see me liking anybody in Washington, let alone a black Nazi maggot. And the suitcase being curled to the ground, just focus on the visible, even if they're hiding in a wall. Just focus. There's a bomb plate. That's Eric Kinzel's moron son. He made his son into a moron by being an inebriate, son of an inebriate. He's bad DNA already. Also, what else? He played with radiation. He played with meth, used it, he made it, or was around it. Your own family. There is no family. Do I have to speak your language? And remember, there's no politically correct in Washington. It's dirty, bum, inebriate, no matter who it is. The things are cocking guns in 207 as well. So Eric Kinzel's ugly retard son is in there with weapons. And what am I going to do? Am I going to listen to any of this shit? No. I go down with the shit. Try to enslave me, there's going to be big trouble. Try to get me to do anything, there will be big fucking trouble. You need to make sure that the Seattle Housing Authority loses every damn thing they ever owned and all their property. You need to grab them all up. Obviously, you have to do it legally. We're talking FBI. So, I'm going to get ready for the day. And am I going to let anyone tell me what to do? No. I will hide the camping equipment so it's not used on me. How about anything else? Oh gosh, what if I barbecued someday at the lake? Well, I'd have to make sure it's not near the faulty electrical and not used on me. I can't even have something that keeps my suitcase upright too far away from me. They can club me. And so the whores and the bums were playing, what? We're coming up today. So if you see anybody around me in the apartment ever, and I seem like I'm drugged, call the FBI. Hey, what's this? Electricity went up to 100% almost. What happened? For that phone. What about this one? This one's down to 41%. Uh-oh. What about this one? Well, this, still not charged. And what else? What else? Oh, and there's a whore playing to go with me swiftly. No, I'm not, but I will get a SWAT team after you, bitch. So Kathy Cox is basically making a kidnapping threat. And she's behind where the refrigerator used to be, sort of slightly over. And see the crawl space, it goes. Kathy Cox, heroin addict, junkie bitch, on welfare. Now, what else do I need? Do I have my brush? I don't do anything fancy, I'm getting started. And remember that paper that the junkies thought they'd have me find? Oh no. Here's what they'll do. They'll take it away from you. You don't have safe paper. It's going to have glass on it and everybody's semen or something. But they want you to buy it for them. Cold germs, diphtheria, also has tuberculosis. Ooh, here's Lisa's toilet paper. So you'll never ever see me with it. It's tempting. I can't even keep it at my storage. Glass, disease, radiation. See, brilliant people lock your stuff after the radiation flags have been in there. Even the dirty fox. And guess who likes marble? Even cheap marble. He'll kill over Officer Rob Howard, among other bums. Officer Bob Howard is here. Officer Rob Howard, the terrorist, is here. This better not be toilet water on me. What did I spill? I think it's regular water. This better not be toilet water. Just think of the Oh, I'll tell you, these zombies are germaphobes. Just think of the diphtheria germs. Oh, I touched the toilet water. Help! Help! It's coming to get you. They're germaphobes. You can take them down that way. Ironically, isn't that weird? They'll play with weird, it's like a split. Like Michael Wood, he's a child molester, but he thinks he was with Agent Stubblebine in the 80s rescuing kids. Or, that's General Stubblebine, deceased. You can look him up. Same moron that eats people, drinks blood, they're germaphobes. I had a toilet overflow. Believe me, there's going to be people freaked out. Now, if there is a disease caused by the toilet overflow, which was mostly water at that point, the zombies, the gang members, even if you don't want to call them zombies, caused whatever virus, rotavirus, I would imagine, hepatitis, to be on the floor. Why? Because I don't have any soap here. I don't have any pine salt that I can keep safely. I don't even have any vinegar. Well-equipped household 8 years ago. Like an old lady's house. Everything you can imagine. So they're causing disease just by that. And remember, what kind of people wouldn't want people to wipe themselves? So all their stupidities caused a third world country in Washington. We're talking third world country. We're talking third world country 1970s. We're talking Mexico 1970s is probably about what we have here. Might be Mexico 1960s. India 1970s. They've caused it. Who? Not just the Indians, of course. Everybody in Washington that went in on the genocide, including dirty cops. They are really dirty if you think about it. Very dirty. They're dripping with germs that can leap upon them at any second, crawling through their eye sockets, decaying them alive. Well, they're not really alive. There could be flesh-eating bacteria in the toilet. I have no pine salt. I have no bleach. When I want to wash my floor for the inspection, I go and buy bleach. There's a big incident. So I'm
Periscope. Periscope. It was crazy. Don't even ask. It's called dollar store mops. Don't even go there. Don't even worry about it. I don't recommend dollar store mops. Just think of all the germs that are lurking about on the floor, swimming around. They're doing the breaststroke because of the dollar store mops. The unhappy housekeeper with no house. Oh, and don't play, you're getting a house. Nope, bitch, I'm not. These fucking bitches will say, you're gonna cook for us, you're gonna be a slave. They're cannibals. Believe me, there's gonna be trouble. The ugly black guy that always wants a slave for his mother, he wanted a quote cook. He was cooking faces. That's popular as steaks in Washington. Karen Hundreasaur cooked one at Elizabeth Burgery home and then stated he had bills. It stunk. I was doing laundry. Oh, I know where the water came from. Let's see, same level. But the place is swimming in bacteria anyway. So we're talking about the same people that eat people, yet they're paranoid of germs. Roger's hanging out in the closet. Roger the retard. Roger retard. Roger retardo's here. Does the gun click? Don't know if you can hear it because I've got the heater on. Peter was here earlier or is here. I don't keep up with their, he's from the storage. I don't keep up with his days off. He was there yesterday. People creeping around like they do here. Same kind of thing. Roosevelt self-storage. And it used to be Econo Mini storage. And I don't believe they ever closed the exits and entrances. And I've been shown funny places where people would enter and exit and sleep by the proprietors. And they themselves called attention to the roof of the storage facility where your possessions are. It's a wire mesh that could be pried up, and there's also this split. There's a whore threatening about beating. There's a bum saying you're a family, or a whore. There is no family. Remember, they're kidnappers. Nobody wants to be near these shit asses. And can you picture anybody more sick that actually had me raping? And one of the bums is talking about, he's making a threat about, let's say it in a clinical term, sodomy. And it's a retardo in 207. So 207's guests are making lots of threats. Now the thing is, there is a trap door. So some of his guests will go and they're playing Leaving With Me. There's a kidnapper saying Leaving With Me. It's an ugly male. Nobody wants him. Nobody likes him. It's Eric's retardo friend. And it's a black male. And it's ugly and retarded. It's guaranteed. And it looks like another worm. And it was on Eric Kinzel's Facebook page. Eric Andre Kinzel. Remember, his mother is Susan Kinzel Bossert. His brother is Greg Kinzel. One of his brothers died. He was killed
And it's an ugly male, guaranteed anyway. This is Washington. There's nobody cute or nice or handsome or any of the above. It's guaranteed to be the worst DNA you could ever find. It's guaranteed to be retarded. They're playing blah, 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 gloves. I'm not even listening to the whore. It's something about maid work, possibly. Who cares? Don't listen. Just call the police on it. Don't even listen. They're playing Scar. So once they've scarred people also, they still think they have like some sort of leverage. Like, oh, we're going to scar you. What am I doing? I'm washing and getting ready for the day, and I'm going to leave in spite of the ambush threats in 207 and 209. And the ambush threats in the laundry room. And I'm not going to listen to ugly prostitutes. One of them is an ugly prostitute in 207. Well, they're a couple. And they're guaranteed to be ugly prostitutes, including from my family. If it's my family, they're ugly prostitutes, just taken for granted. Nobody wants them. Nobody likes them. Nobody's going to let these things in. You want to get let into an apartment, go rent one. Go rent one and go let your friends in. You're not coming in this one. That's the day that Seattle Housing Authority gets sued. They get on the news and the building gets shut down. And remember, the managers creep around in the closet on crack and stand in 207 and between 207 threatening as well. Including ex-managers like Rebecca Thompson. She actually is Native American from Alaska. And she actually has an obsession with the name Guthrie. Now, what's that obsession about? The obsession is about taking people by absorbing their names. So, if they can steal your name, then they can get a hold of other people under the same name. And what kind of names are they targeting? Well, they seem to target Semites, but the most they would target would be Jews and ethnic Christians. So they'd want names of those sort. They'd want white or white-sounding names. And warm-skinned European, warm-complected European names. Like what? French or Italian? So French or Italian have been very much targeted by these bums. And then even my grotesque relatives, they've probably assumed names of Italians. Now, I will tell you there are Italians who went in with them, or they have Italian names. Doesn't mean they're Italian. They might be part everything. Like I am. Not everything. But, you know, I'm part black. My family is not Italian. There is no Italian. I don't even know if there's Roman soldier that raped the alleged Irish person in there. Perhaps one, and that's intuition. Okay, well, anyway, that's not Italian. And by the way, yes, I like Italians. But they'll parade out Italians that probably have, 50,000 IDs. I'm exaggerating. Oh, yes, see, the Italians are fine. You're discriminating against Italians. Remember, these are bums that hurt Italians. There's a bum named Daniele that comes here. There's a whore. She goes to Elizabeth Gregory home, or she used to. I've seen her. She would go to Recovery Cafe where they eat. A lot of people eat. They eat people there too, believe me. And what else? Well, she would go there. And she was from a different part of Italy. Or not from, but her family was. So she probably targeted people that were, there's this disconnection from reality. So it's sort of like it's okay if it's not related to them, they feel. So she would have targeted people in a different area, like northern Italy. And Daniele, he might have actually targeted southern and northern Italy. Both. He claimed his family were diplomats. It was this Italian guy in the neighborhood. And it was before I figured out everybody was a zombie. And I used to sort of make out with him. He was just kind of a creep, though. And we never had full intercourse. But the last time I saw him, he was acting weird, and he was convinced he'd been in contact with aliens, and he was wearing something like a magnetic thing that protected him, he thought, against aliens and magnetic waves, and he showed me some very cult-like videos about aliens. I actually liked Daniele. He wasn't that good looking. He has actually a face that seemed to survive the genocide. It looks like a gourd, like the ugly policeman that comes here. It's like a face without unity, and they threw the features at it. But I liked Daniele because I liked the way he spoke English. I liked his Italian accent, quite frankly, and he seemed well educated about Italy. And that made him interesting to me. Why? Well, I like Italians. They're fascinating. Italy is fascinating. And they're one of the civilizations, well, we had Romans first, obviously, but without the Romans, quite frankly, we'd be missing a lot of civilization. Same with if we had no Italians or French, we'd miss a lot of our civilization. Same with the Irish, Scottish, English, Welsh, the Nordic, the Germanic, and biggest of all, in some cases, Semites. Without the Semites, we'd have nothing. Who was the biggest Semite of all? Jesus. So, again, yes, these are boogeymen. And there's not one I would take off with. And I really haven't seen Daniele except maybe in passing in 10 years or so. There's no reason. He's really nothing. Just like the rest of Washington. Once you get over here and become a zombie, you're a nobody. They're repulsive, they're retarded, they're hideous. Everyone in Washington, that is. There's nobody I would touch. Oh, and there's Bum saying once in a while you'll change a sheet. He's in 207 making a slave threat. Nope. You're going to get everybody thrown in prison, jail, mental hospitals, like they belong. And it's the bitch next door in 207. He's a creepy guy. He would have been considered white years ago. We have such a loose definition of white here. And remember, Nazis hid as whites, and then they turned on them. And white-looking. They turned on white-looking. So it's the ugly male in 207 and his guests. He has kind of curly hair. He's balding. He has fried egg eyeballs. He's ugly. There's nobody who would change a sheet for him. He's an ugly retardo. He's hideous. He's threatening. He's gross. His friends are gross. For that sheet, you're going to hear those sirens and you're going to be hauled off. Now, I heard sirens. What do these bums like to do when there's a siren? Even if it's a block away, they like to pull a kidnapping and act like it's a legal car here to come get you. Dirty cops do it, and their friends. What am I doing? Oh, just cursing and brushing my teeth. Oh, and one of the bums is now chanting, everything is Daniele's. There's nobody I would do anything like that for in Washington anyway. These are gross people. You don't want to touch their personal effects. They're zombies. You wouldn't even want to be a nurse's aide or a nurse in Washington. You'd be touching gross zombies. And don't feel sorry for people in Washington that have even MS. You don't know if it's not caused by crack, meth, what else? Cannibalism. It could be a variant of a cannibal disease is what I've postulated. Remember, I'm no expert. A lot of these cannibal zombies have been cannibal zombies for years. Kathy Cox is here. She thought she'd pull off a kidnapping for her buddies or her family. Not going to listen. You need to make sure all of these people are arrested and committed, including 207. 207, no matter what, needs to be committed and arrested. And for having people in his apartment, you need to crack down on him. And remember also, my grotesque relatives wanted to be treated like kingpins. Well, that means they all want to be arrested like kingpins. Donna Larry Blackmer, Michael Tudhope, Melissa Udd, her grotesque family, in-laws even. Kingpins, indeed. Make sure they're hauled off. Their contact names, and they can lead you to a lot of other bums. But the army or somebody needs to come in. These are freaks. Now there's somebody possibly, they threatened to cut through 207, and he's scratching or cutting. It sounds like he's scratching, scrabbling like a rat. And remember, these things are on meth and crack, and they're zombies. They're on heroin. They're drunk. Even the cops. And they threatened over and over, like even the other day, that they're going to open up between the two apartments and make it their office. That's illegal. Remember, they don't need housing. The government supplied them housing so they could wreck it, apparently. That's Eric and his retardo sons scratching at the wall. Eric Andre Kinzel. Susan Kinzel Bossert is his mother. Remember, these people are also arrogant. You're not going to know who it is. Why? Oh, and there's a whore yapping you gave keys to blah, blah, blah. Eric Kinzel and I broke up at least 30 years ago. Then we saw each other during the Gulf War. We hated each other. We couldn't stand each other. I thought he was ugly. There's a whore now saying son. There is no son with a bum. He's a bum. So remember, these things will also, they're lunatics, and they'll spin out just about any fallacy. It's your brother, it's your mother, it's your granny. I mean, next it could end up where Eric Kinzel is my granny and drag like Norman. Which has a copyright, remember that. Not my copyright, all these things, you know, like Norman and the other characters on TV shows. Remember that. You have to be careful of copyright on YouTube. I bet Eric Kinzel would even dress in drag to drag people off, and so would his family. Uh-oh, I think he has. I'm on to a little something, aren't I? There was a nervous response. An old woman. Strangely enough, that reminds me of smuggling a boyfriend out one time in drag. It's like, oh yeah, put on my coat and put on this scarf, you'll be fine. 21, but still kind of funny. But not so funny now. And remember, there's sirens. These things think they could pull off a false arrest. It's part of their routines. Remember, it's your brother, it's your mother, it's your aunt, it's your uncle. It's all the above. And they all think they're so magical. The past is all the above too, because they've been drinking blood and chopping up, you know what? People and animals. Remember, they think they're magical. Remember how mentally ill that is. Never get sucked into this. This is, ugh. Can you imagine one normal person, or semi-normal, not so normal after 14 years of being terrorized overtly, terrorized my whole life, actually, but can you imagine one person, not a cannibal, not a zombie, not a Satanist, not a gang member, and these males are so repulsive just with their DNA alone. It stinks. Eric Kinzel stinks now. He's a gross crack addict. And I realized, even my old boyfriends, it's like, well, was I really that desperate, or what was it? It's the fact they had killed white-looking Semites and warm-skinned Europeans a long time ago. So the gene pool was already depressing. Now, a lot of people, their so-called true love, that's a bunch of BS. It's based on who's next to you, who's nearby, and your hormones. So much for true love in Washington. How's your hormone level? And remember, these are sick freaks. Don't forget it. And there goes Eric Kinzel. You had a son with him. He's your granny, and he's also your mother. That is kind of like my family. But remember, they think that they can pass as all the above. Eric Kinzel will be your granny. Careful now. Eric Kinzel's also a granny. Eric Kinzel's a granny. And yeah, some of them listen to scanners when there's going to be a siren, or they'll get contacted by one of the bums working for AMR, or the Medic 1. Oh, where's my socks? I'll need my socks in case Eric Kinzel, the fake grandma, decides to ambush me. Remember, he's gone in drag as an old lady. He's not the one I dressed up. He would have freaked out. In fact, I made some sort of weird comment during the Gulf War, and he got very paranoid. He also didn't like boobs. Well, it turns out he's a child molester. And I sort of picked up on that. So he probably was becoming aware that he was a child molester during the Gulf War. And I guess he likes little boys and little girls. I used to wonder about he and his younger cousin, inappropriate, and apparently he molested his brother, Greg. Greg forgave him. Some of these people have molestation, including my family, my step-family. Tom Kovacs, he's somebody who comes here. He's a bum now. He just commits gang crime, and you might say, how do they all show up? Well, it's like a zombie circuit, but my family played an evil version of This Is Your Life. That's how you know they're all zombies and there's nothing left. How? Well, nobody really would show up after 30 years to kill you and seem reasonable. How about 40 years? No, I don't think so. How about even 10? No, I don't think so. It doesn't even fit a serial killer. It just, it shows you that they're zombies and there's nothing left. But watch out for Eric Kinzel. If you see that garter, you know, those really low ones that grannies wear, and some support hose, well, just the good news is, Eric, you are an old man now, and he's incontinent. So that playing of It's Your Grandma, he's got it covered partly. Better cover it. It's going to leak. Got a leak here. Security leak. Remember, that's why they're also trying to force me to use the bath, to let them use the bathroom. A lot of these old men are urinating and defecating their pants, including Eric Kinzel. Probably Greg Kinzel, too. Uh-oh, big macho Greg Kinzel messes his pants. Now, I don't know if he has a partner like Eric that will clean up those messy pants. Apparently, Eric Kinzel's wife will lovingly put those pants in the laundry for him. Just par for the course. Picking up after your zombie husband that has accidents in his pants. Now remember, they're zombies. And if you hear crackling, it doesn't mean they're electrical or lifelike. It's diapers. Crackle, crackle. Crackle, crackle. And, uh-oh, I heard the Haggertys have accidents in theirs. 3 of them. They come here. And remember, many of these people and I that have shown up in the zombie circuit, they actually ended up without an acrimonious fight. So it's like, yeah, 30 years later, they've come to kill you, and but you didn't have any acrimonious ending. It just, you drifted apart. But in zombie land, it's a little different. You could go to their funeral and they'd probably come out of the earth and stab you if they thought they could get money for it. Here they come. Oops, still go to the cemetery. Don't go to the store. So the zombie apocalypse did happen. Oh, by the way, where's my manners? There's only one God, and our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done as earth is in heaven. Please forgive our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil, for thine is kingdom, power, and the glory forever. Amen. Now, if I ever sound mocking, I'm not mocking my God. I'm mocking the zombies, the demons, devils, and fallen angels, and the spirits who like them and are like them. And goodbye to my mother's side. Whatever you were, grubs. So Eric has done a very convincing granny lately with that smell. That fecal smell might have been Eric, for all I know. Jay is doing a fine old lady smell. He's Jay Lobster, my cousin. I mean, a fine old lady imitation with that smell. Good job, Jay. Keep it up. So much for machismo. Make sure, is this dirty or clean? Machismo. A lot of your really tough black Nazis mess their pants. I used to postulate that's actually why someone would wear the bags. Now let's look at these two. They're not necessarily black Nazis. Remember, they're considered gorgeous now. Here they are. Here they are now. Shh. They're very
remember, they're superior to us all. Remember, they're superior, they're more beautiful than any of us, and they're coming for all of us if you don't stop them. Beauties, absolute stunning beauties. Can you imagine anyone more beautiful? I can't, because they killed everyone in Washington that was. Now, do you want to close live broadcasting? Cancel. So, as I was pointing out the beauties that are left behind in Washington, well, remember, they're also, very much up there with the most intelligent. Why? They killed everyone. They killed the competition. And they're coming for all of us. Got to get the heater out of here before it causes an incident with the electricity. Remember? And I certainly wouldn't want it around any cannibal zombies since they have accidents. A heater could be quite dangerous. Maybe, just cleaning up. I'll drag some garbage out. Russian shirt. We're not in full war. We're not really in war yet. And then I have to cover up part of it. Oh, by the way, I'd like to point out another commonality of the zombies. Now, Eric Kinzel always hated the government, and he promoted himself as a communist. Isn't that interesting? So he is a terrorist in every respect. I do think somebody possibly was interrupting a phone call when he called me from the Gulf. I didn't know if it was Michael Wood messing around. He was my roommate at the time. And, but, you see, Eric Kinzel had professed to be what? A communist. I can't get this charger to work down. Fiddling around more because of phones. So I don't have time for housework, even for me. I'm about keeping myself safe with cell phones. That's it. I just heard a dog they're probably torturing. And remember, Eric Kinzel is a pants-sweating communist. And he does the other. But he feels he's infinitely superior to you and I. Even though he's a pants-sweating communist.
I forgot about that. He hated the government, but he was also a communist. My, the things you forget sometimes. Isn't that amazing? Let's drink a little water. And I'll have to use the restroom one more time. You'll have to excuse me in a minute. I shall do so because I am not a pants-sweating communist like Eric Kinzel. That is a zombie. And so far. I try to, use the bathroom when I need to. Especially since I want to avoid electrical shocks in this apartment. Teach you a little trick. Not to do it to people, but to know about it. I believe it was no accident at Burt Gilman Place apartment. I believe it was the manager messing around in my family. I received an electrical shock through the floor, as well as a couple through the stove. The stove. Oh, is this the clean or dirty? I'm getting confused. So yeah, I could actually smell Eric through the wall one time. And one of his kids said, "My dad." My dad. My father. Well, how do you know it's your father? He could be dressed up as a grandma today. How would you know? Could be your grandma. Could be so-and-so's grandma. It could be one of thousands of identities. How do you know it's really your dad? How do you know it's your mother? Who are you? They don't know. Half the time they say they're in Russia. They also like to use other names of war-torn or like guerrilla third world countries. Sickeningly, they've used the words of death camps. As if they couldn't get any more repulsive. They've also referred to victims, and they are anti-Semitic, remember, including Eric Kinzel. They've called their victims by a certain war hero. Her name was Anne Frank. If you look for such names in Washington, you will have a trail of terrorism you will find easily. One of them didn't want me to tell you what they called their victims. They've actually referred to me as that name. The war hero Anne Frank. These are all sick freaks. There's a whore saying something about windows, blah, blah, blah. It's Kathy Cox. She's making a decree. Later on, open your windows. Fuck you, cunt. You are nothing but a heroin hag in 207. You don't tell people what to do when you're a heroin junkie. You are a bum. All your contacts are bums. You have effectively rendered all of Washington into bums. Nobody's going to listen to an ugly bitch. It is a guarantee. And you will have nothing. Oh, and she's playing nosebleed. Bitch, you play nosebleed with me? I'm going to show you what happens. Remember, you're an ugly old bitch. Nobody's going to listen to you now. You're going off to the mental hospital right away, or the jail or prison. along with any cop friends who try to help you. Along with any, oh no, you're not visiting me, you're ugly and you're stinky, and you're retarded. Stinky, retarded whore is playing Visit You. She's playing later on Key. So what are they doing with the key? Well, they'll actually key you. They get it from the manager. They might key you 2,000, 10,000 times, and then they think they have this vast, undetectable army against you. That's part of it. But here's what they want in Washington. The false relationship. They want the false relationship. I hear a whore in the hall, by the way. There is nobody in Washington I'm going to let in. I actually had a couple people. I had Michael Wood and his mother 4 months ago. They proved themselves to be very untrustworthy, and they bragged of cannibalism. What am I doing? I'm trying to actually close my suitcase. It's pretty, I have to sit. I can't stand this. It's like packing in chaos. Packing a worn out suitcase. Whoops. I did that one. I caught my hand on that. I sling the suitcase around. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to do this slowly and leisurely. One of the whores is now ripping an animal to threaten me. Remember the child molester and the bunny. These are that mentality. You can't even teach them. You can tell them the same things over and over. You're not going to do something. They are like rabid, zombie, evil dogs from a horror movie. They cannot be taught. And eventually, they're going to show you that they've lost all their humanity. They're going to show you. And like Susan Wilson, she used to look decent, but I've heard her lately. She sounds like a possessed. She's the sister of Susan, or Kathleen Toomey rather. And she sounds like a possessed animal. And her boyfriend is the person I call the corpse-like cop. He's an ugly male. He's here now. They make shifts of these freaks. So it's not like they're superhuman demons in a wall or something. It's just that there's a lot of these bums at a lot of different times. And they'll keep you up like they're superhuman. They're not. They're bums on crack with a lot of them. That's all it is. They're not even smarter than you. There's a lot of them. They've got police training. They've got military training. A lot of them, quite frankly, they forget a lot of it, and they are reminded because why? They're moronic. But remember, the gang member police love morons. Tom Kovacs is here, again from 30 years ago. We weren't even going out. I think I saw him. He was already married at a, I wouldn't have gone out with him anyway. He was ugly, and we were at a reunion. Ugly, creepy man. Regrettably, when I went out with him at age 21, I never knew he'd become a cannibal, zombie, gang member, child molester, murderer, torturer, rapist. That's not the regrettable part. That's bad English. The regrettable part is that I actually didn't break up with him when I should. And he ended up pushing me down the stairs. And I can remember him stating that I looked like a big black lady. And I ended up, and he stood over me and he said, I hope you have a scar. Well, this is very, very much a part of the genocide. Think of, I hope you have a scar, and think of how many faces they've mutilated, including just with throwing glass. This is very much a mark of the Satanist. So ugly Tom Kovacs is standing with ugly, putrid, heroin addict Kathy Fox. So that sort of indicates that he's also a drug addict.
But, you know, if you're a child molester, murderer, or rapist, you can't go down much farther, can you? And remember, so I'm braving an ambush as I go out, and I have asthma, allergies, chemical sensitivities, chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, bleeding ulcers. I forget some of it sometimes. And remember, I don't stay around because I don't want to hear morons, part of it. Actually, I'll give you a little hint. Yes, they're evil, and they're moronic, so hearing them every day and knowing what's going on, but also hearing the crap all day long, including the dirty police that are yapping like, you know, foul fiends that they are. Could you stand just even the verbal assault of crap? It reminds me of something I've read lately. Now, apparently, Jesus didn't want demons and evil spirits talking. Same thing. Shut the hell up. And am I saying I'm Jesus? No, but there's something, when you hear yapping of evil, ugh. And these are animal torturers. They've tortured children. You don't want to hear them yapping. You don't want to see them marching around like they're superior, going like this. You know they're not. Don't talk. Nobody wants to hear it. So I'll excuse myself so I don't end up like Eric Kinzel, having an accident in my pants. How about that? And yapping. Plus, there's an electrical problem. Gotta be careful with the liquids, I hear. Oh, and by the way, bomb whistling, these retards will even tell you you're enslaved and you're going to respond to a whistle. Ha ha ha, you're going to be in so much trouble. Ha ha! And I'm going to broadcast you to every living being I could find. So there. You're going to look like freaks that you are. Nobody's going to believe a word you say, whether you are a pants-wetting
communist, or whatever. Pants-wearing communist. Want to know another little secret about Eric that's kind of an interesting one? And I actually have written a tiny bit of a comic opera about it. Eric never knew who he was. When we were in high school and a little bit, well, quite a lot after, even during the Gulf War, he thought he was an Icelandic man. He thought he was a Jew. He thought he was a communist. Let's see what else. He thought he was John Lennon. Yes, he did. And a yogi. And there was that personality, the Prussian soldier, the Prussian man. Now, the Prussian man, actually, a bit of a comic opera, picture the Prussian man, Prussian soldier, and he's actually wandering around in his apartment for 3 weeks, singing pompously, and he thinks he's at war. Nobody else can see him, but he's pantomiming. He's busy at war. He's actually in an apartment building. Apartment. Even tripping over the couch. The Prussian man. And sing it in sort of an homage to, can I mention him? It's copyrighted. King. And it's a certain day of the week. Starts with an F. Can you guess? Sing in a pompous voice of King you know who. And sing about being a Prussian man. Thrust your chest out and march around like a pigeon in mating regalia. Actually, I accidentally sang parts of that one because I forgot that I had some social media on. It was Twitch or something. And I turned it on to talk about Roosevelt self-storage being, creepy and people creeping around. And there's a horror plane dominates your storage today. Remember, these things like to repeat crap. Utter crap that's not even relevant to you. Ooh, I got these wet. Luckily, they're waterproof. Not all of it is. And of course, the phone. This one is not actually charged up. So yeah, forget